Let's bring in Brett Bruen. He is a former White House Director of Global Engagement under former U.S. President Barack Obama, and he joins us today from Washington. Brett, first of all, thank you for taking the time to be here with us. I want to get your take on what this detention of these Canadians by China means.
Well, it is retribution for Canada's involvement in the detention of the Huawei executive. And what we're seeing play out over the last week is this effort to try and put pressure on Ottawa to release the executive, while at the same time, the U.S. is coming in trying to ensure that this vital piece in their negotiations on a trade deal with China, or at least the resolution of the tariffs that have been imposed on both sides and the conditions Washington wants to see changed in Beijing. That's where Canada finds itself. It is caught between these two powers trying to resolve issues and using tactics that are quite unusual.
Right, and as you're describing it, it seems that we are caught between a bit of a rock and a hard place here. Earlier this week, President Trump said that in an interview, he said that he would certainly intervene in Meng Wanzhou's case to get a trade deal with China. Now, Mike Pompeo walked back those comments, but what do you make of that?
No, I think without question, Trump views her as leverage over Beijing. So clearly he's willing to negotiate. He is a transactional president, and he sees holding her as an opportunity for the United States to extract additional concessions from Beijing. This is going to be a difficult few days for Canada.
Right, and I do want to ask then what these comments, Trump's comments have, what kind of impact they have on the Canadians who are being detained.
Well, I think this is trying to work out trilateral negotiations because, on the one hand, if the U.S. is willing to drop charges or pardon the Huawei executive, then I think the situation for the two Canadians held in China improves markedly. But at the same time, China is clearly indicating that they're willing to play hardball. And Canada has to consider not only these cases, but going forward, how is it going to engage with China? How is it going to engage with some of these other countries? They're also watching this situation and seeing what works with Ottawa.
Mm-hmm. Now, what do you think Canada should do in this situation? We are in quite a tangle.
Well, I said before in an interview with CTV, it's important that Canada be the adult in the room. You know, what we're seeing not only in China, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, is a rapid erosion of the rules that have governed international relations for so long. So I think Canada needs, both for its own interests as well as for the world order, to remind leaders in Beijing, here in Washington, of how this game is supposed to be played and what the consequences long-term are if those rules are broken.
Now, China has granted Canada access to Michael Kovrig. We are waiting to see if we can get access, if Ottawa can get access to Michael Spavor. Do you think things are looking promising for the both of them?
Well, this is a perfect illustration of what I was just saying. Canada needs to insist, not ask, but insist that it have access to its citizens that are detained. That is the expectation that any country has when its citizens are arrested overseas. This is not negotiable, and I think Ottawa needs to hold a very firm line on that front.
Okay, Brett Bruen, thank you so much for joining us on this today.
Good to be back with you.